and then helping kind of training your customers to involve you in their processes, especially any new projects or anything else that are going on. I just see it as more of a strategic role, and going out and meet with them and just trying to be more proactive and really building that relationship. Several things are still going to be key. I mean, I still play a role in escalations, not very often, but they know to call me if they can't get a hold of something and it's major and things like that. So some things are definitely still going to play the same role, but I think strategic and forward thinking and building that big long-term relationship kind of plays the difference.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think here our CRM team is more of a hybrid. I think we took a lot of BRM concepts and CRM concepts and sort of merged them together, because our primary goal really is that strategic, being that strategic partner for customers. When we meet with the designated IT liaisons from the different units to understand how and what is going on in terms of projects that IT should be involved in, and really trying to drive adoption of the services that we roll out across at that enterprise level. So yeah, I think that's been a bit of a struggle to understand because ours is more of a hybrid role, right?
Yeah, I might add something to that as well. I think at Nebraska here, we don't have formally defined BRMs or CRMs for that matter, but we have a lot of service ownership and service management, if you will, or service, not even management, service offering management, where they kind of take on that role as well as all the other duties of running the service and things. So we don't have a formal office of BRM or anything like that, but it's really more that service owner that we've described as being that person that does those things. Unfortunately, in that case, we see a lot of drop off in the sense of designation and priority around, the business management role and things like that. So ideally, we would have something designated, but we don't have that here.
Okay.
I just sent the link to Shirley just in case she missed it. So hopefully she'll join in a second.
Thanks.
Who else?
I might ask one question. Do you find just being, you mentioned you have a single person at your organization, right, Jana?
Yes, that's me.
So do you see that there is some overlap with regards to service ownership and service offering managers and people that run services, if you will, fulfill some of that role?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I do think that, they certainly help out with some of that, but, some of the day-to-day stuff. But I don't think a lot of them are as strategic as my role and things like that. So I do think there is some overlap, but not as much as on the strategic side.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, Lawrence. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, feel free.
Okay, so you were asking about costing of services. Are you talking about how we set rates as a whole, or is it BRM has a cost to it? While you type more maybe into your question, BRM here is free. I am built into overhead rates. If we're going to get into how rates are set, I think that's probably a whole nother webinar. I think, but as far as BRM, we do not. I am built into several lines of overhead, especially since I've changed roles and report to a different supervisor. My job is now I'm now built into 8 lines of business, and so I'm into telecommunications, I'm into networking, systems engineering, so I'm spread across many lines of business. So, how about setting? Okay. Do we play a role in setting costs? I don't do that too much. I don't get involved in the day-to-day financial stuff. I mean, I was invited at the very end of the last financial meeting where we were talking about overall rates, but I do not sit in the rate study meetings. For the most part, our rates are, we are a cost recovery, so our rates are kind of set by time, material, and labor And so, I mean, we spend a lot of time on our rates, but I mean, there is a structure to how our rates are set since we are a state agency. And so it's not like we can just charge what we want. But I do not get involved in the day-to-day rate setting. My plate is far too full for that.
So for OP, we had a costing. So, you know, there's a formula that you can use where you have your specific cost of your application, and then you take portions of infrastructure and application maintenance and support. We just found it was way too cumbersome, and it took too much time from us. We needed really financial people to help us with all this. So we actually we then moved into a general, what we called a utilities bucket. So everything that was standard for the desktop, standard applications and standard services, we put into a bucket. And then we just basically divided that up and said, per person, we costed that out. And then we just said per person, this is what we were going to charge you on a monthly basis. And now we've come to the conclusion that even that is a little more complicated. So we actually just went to a commodities-based model. So all the costing that we were charging people, the recharges, we just took those funds out of those departments and put them into my fund. And so all the services that we consider commodities, like Smartsheet and Box, and all the networking and everything that we have at the desktop, the Microsoft Mecca, that all I just pay for. And so we don't have those discussions anymore about, can I use this service because I don't have any money or I have money. Anytime I find something that we can use overall at OP, and this is similar to all the campuses, we try to roll it into just what we call a commodities. And then I find I request a budget for that. Right now it's going to be DocuSign. I'm looking at DocuSign to do that. So we don't have to have people do individual agreements with DocuSign. That's an example.
Anyone else have any other questions or comments, stories they'd like to share in the BRM space, CRM, and crossover within ITSM?
So, Crystal, yeah, I saw your question and we didn't get to answer it in the other one. So I don't personally work with individual faculty members unless it is a specific case scenario, like I'm working with a faculty member on moving his data into the data center. He feels like he has to walk it across the street because he's scared that PETA, however you want to say it, is going to get his data. So, but with that said, our new governance structure, like our big massive governance structure that went out that is made up of 6 committees, is very heavily, has faculty on it. But I'm not part of governance, thank God. But none of my people on a regular basis are faculty or really even staff for the most part. Well, I guess it is staff. It's the head IT people of those groups. I do meet with them when they have specific needs or concerns, but on a day-to-day basis, mine are not faculty.
I actually have a question to the group. I'm curious. I know Crystal mentioned she's a BRM. I'm wondering, are the rest of you BRMs? Did you transition into that role? I think there's only a few of us. I'd be interested to hear how your BRM journey is either starting or has started. I'd be curious to hear from all of you.
Well, here at Washington University in St. Louis, we adopted customer relationship management back in September of 2015 is when the senior customer relationship manager was hired. She was a staff of 1 at first while she built the process, which has a CRM process for interacting with service owners on issues that we identify where a process may be broken or we need to look at retooling a process. And then as well as for our customer engagement and meeting with our designated IT liaisons for each unit, which usually tends to be like the business director. And And then in April of 2016, two CRMs were hired on to make it a staff of 3. And we split about 150 customers on our roster. And then that senior role left about November of last year. So right now there's 2 CRMs sort of managing that 150, 160 customer roster. Fun times, right? So we've made some changes throughout the years. We originally were trying to meet with customers on a more monthly basis. We have designations. We have campus customer, mid-level customer, strategic customer, based on where they fall within there. As our senior manager left, we quickly realized we didn't have the bandwidth to do all of those meetings and keep up our tool where we track trends. We use Microsoft Dynamics. So every piece of information or interaction we have with the customers, we log. We try to log them to specific services so that as we report out to the Office of the Chief Information Officer on a monthly basis, we can report on any trends that we're seeing with services, any feedback, maybe about support or, adoption or a project that maybe wasn't migrated well or that went very well, So we also have our own advocacy group. We call them unit representatives. So right now we meet with them on a quarterly basis. At one point we were meeting with them monthly as we went through a large consolidation of those common IT, we call it shared IT services, for our end user computing bundle and shared infrastructure services. So right now we're just dealing with a lot of change. We're updating a lot of really old 30, 40 years services for HR and finance. And so we're working through a lot of change management right now.
Candace, do you know Matt Arthur?
I do know Matt, actually.
He's one of my favorite people ever.
He's right over there, actually. I should walk my computer over to him.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, he's here. He's over media services. So we're both under end user services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would Crystal or Kay Lawrence want to elaborate a little bit on the context that you offered in the chat?
This is Kimberly. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I never know if my equipment's working right.
Yes,
and I apologize. I'm a little, I feel like I'm a stalker here, right? Listening. Because we actually currently have a Deloitte assessment that's being done. We have a lot of challenges. They recently pulled, we had project management sitting within IT, and they recently pulled it out, and then they pulled out some business analysts out of IT to a separate group to create a business transformation office, and they created a shared service center about 2 years ago for administrative functions, and then they've also about 2 years ago created what they call EPIC, Enterprise Project Management Portfolio, that sort of thing, and all of that is outside of IT. And we don't have representation on these groups. And so there's just craziness kind of going on with people starting initiatives and after the fact going, oh yeah, and by the way, not only do we need IT to support this and implement it and integrate it, but we also need to cost it out, and you guys need to, do the allocation out to the colleges. So it's a bit ugly right now. So, and everything that you guys are saying is really good information for me to be able to take back as I'm working with the consultants and, helping them to be the objective people that come in and say, okay, you're not doing this right, and this is what you need to do, and this is how you need to fix it. So this is really helpful stuff. I appreciate you letting me stalk.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Thanks.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm in the College of Agriculture at Purdue University, and I've been on campus for, over 17 years now, but just a year in the BRM role. And the BRM role was started about 2 years ago now with just one individual in the College of Agriculture. She's now our director of the BRM program. And then myself and another BRM started about a year ago, and we actually started as IT relationship managers, but quickly shifted to BRMs because we wanted to make it known that our focus really was on the business, which for us, our business is our faculty members in the College of Agriculture. And so we actually go out and meet with the faculty and understand their research, teaching, engagement activities, and kind of what technology they're using, what they're not using, and make sure they're connected to the resources that are available, since it's, I'm sure, like a lot of universities, things are spread out and across different providers. And so we make sure that they're aware of what's available and get them connected to the right provider for the activity that they're doing. But then we also, like Jana mentioned, are kind of making note of what services people are asking for that we're not offering, and then sort of grouping those, and so and bringing those forward to leadership as we get enough of them, like, hey, we might want to think about offering this as a service or a product, depending on what it is. And so it's, you know, our challenge is each faculty has different goals and objectives, and of course, you know, faculty in and of themselves can be a little challenging at times to work with. So but yeah, and then we also, on the provider side, we work with the providers to understand what they're offering and sort of what their processes look like and how to engage, because we do like to stay in process and not escalate when we don't have to. So hopefully that helps. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer how we're working with the faculty, because it doesn't sound like anyone else is kind of doing what we're doing, and it is a little bit unique, but I think we've gained a lot of value for our faculty here in the college.
So I think I wanted to mention, I've been hearing all of you, you know, sort of those quick wins, especially around gathering information around applications, because as you know, the customers now go out, they either read a magazine or you know, they have a great interest in IT, and IT is, you know, we're looking at more self-service applications. And so a lot of this information does not come directly from our IT staff. They actually come from customers now, and hearing what they need and how they use it. And then being able to aggregate that information and share that with senior management, I think that's probably one of the quick wins for the BRM role. In my particular area, you know, I believe that there is always going to be sort of a natural tension between, so I don't sit in the IT department. I sit in a shared services and operations department. And so I kind of have sort of this, I call it the sort of this natural tension between the information I have to bring back into IT and then also advocating for IT. So I really try to help them understand that not only am I trying to advocate on behalf of IT, where I can say, well, wait a minute, you know, customer A, this is really not where you want to go. You know, I suggest that we bring in some more IT people and have a more productive conversation around this. But I also bring information back into IT, and that's kind of where the rub happens, because I'm not really within IT anymore. So with my particular role, I don't know, I'm kind of trying to look through sort of the chat. In terms of where people sit, I actually, again, sit outside of IT. And so one, I have a stronger voice and influence that I can use with the CIO there, because I'm not reporting to them. I have a dotted line, but I'm voice of the customer. And then from the customer end, they see me as representing IT. So it's just kind of a natural, I mean, it's just a very interesting balancing act that we have to do as BRMs. I think it's a great role, but there's definitely a balancing act that you have to play between customer and IT, and not have everyone hate you at the same time. I mean, that does happen, but you know, that's the role that we play. So I think when Jana mentioned the qualities and the characteristics, one of them is just having courage, you know, just being courageous around, you know, saying what you need to say on both sides.
Jana, can I ask you, you mentioned that you guys are working on, or just recently had the a BRM function added to ServiceNow.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that a little bit? We use ServiceNow as our ticket management and self-service portal here, but we actually use Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics, as our CRM tool. So I'd be interested in understanding how you guys use ServiceNow.
Yeah, so it's not deployed. Let me see if I can get it pulled up and play real quick to tell you. You know, one of the things that you don't, that doesn't, it's a separate, I gotta figure out where I can find it, play. It is a, it's a separate add-on to ServiceNow. So it's not like it's, it's just part of it. And because, oh, it didn't bring up play. I haven't seen it in a while. They keep delaying it. Oh, I'm not very happy. There it is. Give me play.
Sound like our developers.
Yes, that's why I said it's not on ServiceNow people. It's on our people. And so, one of the things that you can use, if you, depending on what things you have deployed, if you can use Idea in Demand, if you have like the project portfolio deployed, which I've been waiting for them, because you don't have to have the BRM part for that, because I've just been wanting to use Idea in Demand just to track like what customers want, you know, just the ideas part of it. Just for, and so that if you have the project portfolio part, you could at least use that part. And for me, I wanted to track it down to like what, so we have 8 groups within our division. So I wanted to track it like each idea to telecommunications or to systems engineering or whatever. So we could get an idea of, okay, well, how much ideas or demand are we getting for each one of these functional groups? So we could start seeing where we needed to shift resources to. So we haven't got there yet because they haven't fixed my stuff. So now I'm in play. I was going to, let's see what the, so there is a, like within BRM, so it's its own, it was under the financial management piece, but I don't know that ServiceNow may have pulled it out from under that because we don't have the financial management piece within it. So I think they may have pulled it out, made it its own module. But they have, they call them interactions. And they have like a BRM dashboard, a CIO roadmap. And so I don't know a ton about it just because I haven't looked at it now because I've been waiting for them to deploy it now for months. So, but it'll be nice for us to go ahead and be able to put this stuff in here so I'm not tracking it on Word. And to be honest, we haven't had our regular customer meetings in a while, so I haven't even been tracking anything in Word just because we haven't been having them. Ever since we built a data center, everything has been almost put on hold. As far as our regular interactions. So we always played a small role in project management, but the data center has just taken over our lives, or now my life.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, does this thing have screen share? Oh, it does have it. So hold on, let me see. I'll show it. Let's see. So, can you? Oh, you see the wrong. Hold on. Are you seeing this screen? Okay. So this is kind of the manager, the dashboard. Why did it pull up that? Hold on, let's see. So if we're like a new.
Okay, I see.
Kind of have a new interaction and kind of like work notes. So it's kind of almost looks similar to a ticket, but it's an interaction.
Yeah.
So there's ideas. Oh, there, create new idea. I don't have any. Obviously, I don't have anywhere in play. And this was all, I guess, their normal stuff. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the way our ServiceNow portal is built out, we weren't able to kind of have that interaction designation. So when we have to create a CRM ticket in ServiceNow, and our tickets are for like our service owners, because we really do from the internal side of the house, we try to interact at the service owner level so that we're not bogged down with more like down in the action owner realm. So we interact with service owners, and then service owners designate who should follow up on whatever it is that we bring to them. But we have to label, we just have to create a regular ticket and label it in the short URL CRM ticket, so they know it's not like an incident, but an actual ticket where we're working through a process, working on process improvement.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have it before long.
Yeah. Cool.
Candace, did you mention you had Salesforce as well?
No, we use Microsoft CRM, the
Okay.
Dynamics tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have every, we try to track every customer interaction or feedback to one of the services within our portfolio so that we can see it trend over time. And with our interactions, we really do focus a lot, and our CIO kind of really wants CRM to be focused on the qualitative side of the house, so how people are feeling about the service we provide, right? We use ServiceNow to pull all the metrics on tickets and how long it takes, but one of our MVVs is customer perception is reality. And so when we meet with customers, we also ask for qualitative rating from 1 to 10 of, how are you guys feeling about IT? What do we do well? What do we need to work on? That sort of thing. And we track it over time. And so we can kind of see, for customers when we originally engage, they may give us like a 4 or a 5. And as CRM is working with the customer to improve strategically how they use our services or how they're adapting to improve workflow, we can see that qualitative rating go up, and kind of measure what our interaction is doing with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing, is trying to understand how to measure what we do, right?
Yep. Makes sense. Does anybody else have any following comments? Well, hearing none, it sounds like our open house and discussion is coming to an end. I did want to thank again you for coming not only to this session, but obviously the previous session as well. We will be sending out the recording links as well as a survey request for you to fill out and provide feedback to us to see if we can continue to improve and make things better as things go along, as well as find out if you have any topical interests that we're not providing a forum to discuss or to interact with. So I appreciate you coming today, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
You too.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.